Think back to the last time you fell in love. Not the comfortable love of a long relationship. The falling part. The part where you could not stop thinking about them. Where your heart raced when your phone buzzed with their name. Where the world seemed brighter and more interesting simply because they existed in it. That feeling is not poetry. It is not magic. It is a very specific chemical storm inside your brain. And the hormone at the center of that storm is called dopamine. Dopamine is the molecule of wanting. It is not the molecule of liking or the molecule of pleasure, though it is often described that way. Dopamine is about anticipation. It is about desire. It is about the chase. When you want something, anything, a glass of water when you are thirsty, a promotion at work, a person you are attracted to, dopamine is what drives you toward it. It is the chemical engine of motivation. And in the early stages of romantic love, it floods your brain at levels comparable to what you would see in someone high on cocaine. This is not a metaphor. Brain scans of people who have recently fallen in love look remarkably similar to brain scans of people on stimulant drugs. The same regions light up, the same dopamine receptors are saturated, the same obsessive thinking patterns emerge. Romantic love is a natural addiction. And like all addictions, it has a tolerance curve. The dopamine rush of new love is triggered by novelty and uncertainty. When you first meet someone you are attracted to, your brain does not know what will happen next. Will they call? Will they like you back? Every text message is a potential reward. Every interaction is a gamble. Your brain is exquisitely tuned to respond to unpredictable rewards. In fact, dopamine release is highest not when you get the reward, but when you are anticipating it. The moment before they kiss you, the seconds before they say, "I love you back." The waiting is the drug. This is why the early stages of love feel so intoxicating. Your brain is bathing in dopamine, and dopamine makes everything feel significant. The songs on the radio are suddenly about your life. The weather is more beautiful. Food tastes better. This is not your imagination. Dopamine literally enhances sensory perception. It lowers the threshold for what your brain considers important. Everything associated with the person you love becomes highlighted, vivid, and meaningful. But dopamine does not work alone. Norepinephrine, a close cousin of adrenaline, is also surging. Norepinephrine is what makes your heart pound when you see them. It is what makes your palms sweat. It is what keeps you awake at night, replaying conversations in your head. It is the reason you lose your appetite and feel a restless, energized agitation. Combined with dopamine, it creates the classic symptoms of lovesickness: obsessive thinking, elevated energy, decreased need for sleep, and intense focus on one person. There is a third player that makes this chemical cocktail even more potent. When dopamine and norepinephrine are high, another neurotransmitter, serotonin, drops. Serotonin levels in people who have recently fallen in love are as low as those found in people with obsessive-compulsive disorder. This is fascinating and deeply revealing. Low serotonin is associated with intrusive, repetitive thoughts. The same brain mechanism that makes someone with OCD wash their hands dozens of times a day makes someone in love check their phone dozens of times an hour. You cannot stop thinking about them because your brain has lost some of its ability to stop thinking about anything. The obsession is chemical. This combination, sky-high dopamine and norepinephrine, plummeting serotonin, is why early romantic love feels like a beautiful madness. It is also why it cannot last. The brain cannot sustain this chemical state indefinitely. It would be exhausting, and it would interfere with everything else you need to do, like work, eat, and maintain other relationships. Evolution did not design romantic love to be permanent. It designed it to be intense enough to bring two people together long enough to form a deeper bond. The dopamine frenzy of new love typically peaks between 6 and 18 months. After that, the brain begins to adapt. The dopamine receptors become less sensitive. The novelty wears off because the person is no longer novel. Your brain has learned to predict them. They are no longer an uncertain reward. They are a known quantity. Dopamine responds to uncertainty, not certainty. This is the biological basis of the so-called honeymoon phase ending. It is not that you have fallen out of love. It is that your brain has habituated to the person. The drug has worn off. This is where many relationships fail. People mistake the end of the dopamine high for the end of love. They think that if the obsessive passion is gone, the relationship must be over. They chase the high with someone new only to repeat the cycle. This is also why affairs can be so addictive. A new person brings back the novelty, the uncertainty, the dopamine flood. It is not necessarily that the new person is better. It is that the new person is new. But here is what makes this story hopeful rather than tragic. Enduring love is not the absence of dopamine. It is the addition of other chemicals. As the dopamine frenzy fades, a different set of hormones begins to dominate. Oxytocin and vasopressin, the bonding hormones, take over. These are the chemicals of attachment. They are not about wanting. They are about having. They produce feelings of calm, safety, trust, and deep contentment. They are the reason a long-term partner's presence can lower your blood pressure and reduce your stress. They are the biological foundation of companionship. This transition from dopamine-driven passion to oxytocin-driven attachment is not a downgrade. It is an upgrade to a different operating system. The passion system is designed for pursuit and reproduction. The attachment system is designed for cooperation and child-rearing. Both are essential. Both are beautiful in their own way. The problem is that modern culture has elevated passionate love above all else and treated companionate love as a consolation prize. This is a misunderstanding of biology. Companionate love is not the absence of passion. It is the maturation of the bonding system. The good news is that you can keep some dopamine alive in long-term relationships. The key is novelty. Not a new person, but new experiences with the same person. Dopamine responds to anything new and unpredictable. Traveling together to a place neither of you has been. Trying a new hobby. Surprising each other. Even small changes trigger modest dopamine release. The brain does not distinguish between the novelty of a new person and the novelty of a new experience with an old person. Dopamine just wants something it has not seen before. Physical touch also matters. Touch releases dopamine as well as oxytocin. Holding hands, kissing, physical intimacy. These are not just expressions of love, they are chemical maintenance routines. Couples who maintain physical affection have higher relationship satisfaction, and it is partly because they are keeping the dopamine and oxytocin systems active. The chemistry of love is not just in your head. It is in your skin. Uncertainty can be reintroduced in healthy ways. Not the anxiety of whether they love you, but the surprise of a thoughtful gift, an unexpected compliment, a spontaneous adventure. These small doses of unpredictability keep the dopamine system engaged. The challenge of a long-term relationship is to balance security and novelty, oxytocin and dopamine, comfort and excitement. When the balance tips too far toward security, the relationship feels stale. When it tips too far toward novelty, it feels unstable. The art of lasting love is learning to dance between the two. There is also a fascinating gender dimension. Testosterone plays a role in desire for both men and women. In the early stages of love, testosterone shifts. In men, testosterone drops slightly, which may promote bonding and reduce aggression. In women, testosterone rises slightly, which may increase desire. These shifts are temporary, but they highlight how the entire endocrine system reorganizes itself around a new romantic attachment. Even the immune system gets involved. Studies have shown that falling in love changes gene expression in immune cells. Women who fall in love show increased activity in genes related to antiviral defenses. The body seems to prepare itself for the physical intimacy that comes with a new relationship. This is deep, ancient biology at work. Your body does not know the difference between falling in love and preparing to reproduce. Heartbreak, then, is not just emotional. It is chemical withdrawal. When a relationship ends, especially in the early dopamine phase, the brain goes into a state that is neurologically similar to drug withdrawal. The dopamine supply is suddenly cut off. The norepinephrine system goes haywire. Cortisol spikes. The same brain regions that light up in physical pain light up in romantic rejection. This is why heartbreak hurts physically. It is why you cannot eat, cannot sleep, cannot concentrate. Your brain is in withdrawal from one of the most powerful natural drugs it can produce. And like any withdrawal, it takes time for the brain to rebalance itself. Understanding this can be genuinely helpful. When you know that heartbreak is chemical withdrawal, you can treat it with strategies that help with other forms of withdrawal. Time, distraction, social support, physical exercise. New experiences give your brain a different source of novelty and dopamine. You are not weak for struggling after a breakup. Your brain is literally detoxing. So what is the hormone that makes you fall in love? The honest answer is that there is no single hormone. It is an orchestra. Dopamine is the conductor, driving the wanting, the obsession, the euphoric anticipation. Norepinephrine is the percussion, the racing heart, and sleepless nights. Serotonin is the silence, its absence allowing the obsessive thoughts to loop unchecked. And later, when the music changes, oxytocin and vasopressin take the melody into something slower, deeper, and more durable. Love is not one chemical. It is a sequence of chemical states, each with its own purpose and beauty. This knowledge does not make love less magical. If anything, it makes it more astonishing. The fact that molecules, mere arrangements of atoms, can produce the most profound human experience is not a reduction. It is a revelation. Your brain, a 3-pound lump of tissue, can generate a chemical symphony that makes the world feel brighter, that binds you to another person, that gives life its deepest meaning. That is not less than magic. That is magic, explained. You will fall in love again. Your dopamine system is not broken. It is just resting. And when it wakes up when the right person triggers the right cascade at the right time, you will feel it. The racing heart, the obsessive thoughts, the sense that the world has suddenly become more interesting. That is dopamine, doing what dopamine does. And now you know its name.